Well, hi, I'm Noah Bradley, and this is Handmade House TV. Today we're going to start a new little series here on Handmade House TV on building a log cabin, and this will be the first episode of that, so stay tuned. Well, all right, if you've been following along on Handmade House TV, you know that about 2 years ago now I built this small little log cabin, and I did it as part of the Log Cabin Academy, where I created a video course, and in it I encourage people that if you've never built a log cabin before to build something small, that you'll learn all the principles involved in building a log cabin, and you'll be very encouraged and confident in moving forward that you too can build one, and plus you'll end up with a useful structure. So when I built this little log cabin, I didn't know what I'd be doing with it in the future. I built it out of green walnut logs, and I set it here on my property, and I set it next to what was at the time considered to be a pretty tame privet area of privet bushes. But I've learned since that privets are pretty invasive species, and they basically overtook this little log cabin. And so the first thing I did is I've trimmed back all of the shrubbery around the log cabin in order to be able to move it to the new site. And that's the great news in this new series, is that I'm going to take this thing in the next few episodes, and I'm going to build it and show you how to properly build a log cabin outbuilding. First thing that you want to do in building and taking down a log cabin is that you want to, as much as possible, record every detail there is with regard to that log cabin. That includes photography, notes, videography, and most importantly, tagging the log cabin. And so the first step that I do in a log cabin is that I take tons of photographs. If nothing else, you can always refer back to photographs. Sometimes photographs taken at a great distance are of the most amount of help. Sometimes close-up details such as corner notches or flaws in the logs. These are great reference items. I have the second thing that you need to do, most critical thing to do, is to tag the log cabin, and that is that you need to put tags on each of the logs so that you can easily and quickly identify them when you get to the site where you're going to be putting them back up. And when it comes to photography, I like to photograph the log cabin before I put the tags up and after I put it up, so that way that I have actual images of the tag and exactly where it was located on there. It's not uncommon that the tags, some of them will get lost in the process. You'll be able to identify where the nail hole was that attached to them. I never number the logs themselves. I would never draw on a log. Then you are faced with the issue of having to remove that. If there's a chance it'll get washed away. If you have logs with a wonderful patina, you're going to remove patinas in spots, and you're going to end up with a leopard of a log cabin when you get done. I like to place the tags down near the end of the logs. I like to start from the bottom and work my way to the top. The bottom log is always number 1, and the top one is as it goes across. So when I stand in front of a log cabin, in front of the front of it, that side of the home is the front. So I label every log on that side F for front, and so the bottom log would be F1, the one above it is F2, F3, F4. Now frequently by the time we get to F3 or F4, we start to develop window and door openings, in which case I will break it down and add one more to the sequence, and that is that if you're on of course F3 and it has 3 logs in it, the first one is F3A, the one in the middle is F3B, and then F3C over to the right hand side. And we continue this sequence all the way up. You walk around to the right side of the log cabin, that's R. You walk around to the back of the cabin, that's B, and you walk around to the last side of the log cabin, that's your left side. So it's R1, it's B1, and it is L1 around the side. Then once I get done numbering all the logs, and I photograph the cabin extremely well, the last thing I'll do is that I'll put together a log diagram chart. And it's basically you just draw pencils stacked one on top of the other, a rude, crude drawing, hand drawn. It's nothing special. You're not going to show it to anybody. It's just diagramming out how the logs lay out, and you number each one of those exactly as you did when you put all these tags on your cabin. Now, what do you use to tag the corners? What's the best tag material in order to label our logs? Every person that takes down log cabins for a living has their own specific thing that they use. I've used quite a variety of them, and none of them are really great. None of them are perfect. On this little log cabin here, I'm actually going to be taking the cabin down, and I'm going to be putting it up, hopefully on the very same day. So I'm going to go ahead and use just a basic paper cardstock. Do I recommend that? Heck no, because it's not one rain and it's gone. And when I put any tag up, I typically use a roofing nail and something with a nice wide head that will hold it in place. And I try not to drive it in too far, because when it gets to the other end, I need to remove the tag. And it's important to keep in mind that once you get the logs on the set up, as soon as the log cabin is set at its new site, to remove these tags, because eventually there's going to be some discoloration behind the tags, either from exposure to sunlight or a little bit of water getting in behind and changing the color and tone. And so we don't want the marks of these tags to be forever on our logs. So remove the tags when you get to the other end. Some of the favorite choices I've seen and I have experimented with are mason jar lids. They last forever, and people will paint with permanent paint on there. The number's kind of a standard set. Masonry jar lids will last forever, and they don't go bad in weather. Cattle ear tags available at any kind of a co-op, a farm center, or make very durable ones as well. I've cut out little pieces of metal, in particular copper, and set out there with a little punch and actually punched in the letters. And these tags can be used over and over again. The great thing about punching in the numbers instead of just drawing them on there is that eventually any kind of paint or any kind of ink is going to get washed off as well. So if you've got metal with the numbers actually punched in, that's not a concern of yours anymore. Anyway, I hope you found this of interest. I think that you'll really enjoy the process of me taking down this log cabin. I've got one of the members of the guild, Nick Marmaleo, got your name right, Nick, is coming in to give me a hand on taking this down. He's bringing in his own pickup truck, and I think between the two of us, we're going to be able to get this cabin down and move it to the site. On next week's episode of Handmade House TV, I'd like to share with you the construction of the foundation that we put together there on the lake, where we're going to be able to put this right back up. It's a great idea to have your foundation ready on the other end rather than stacking and storing your logs. So anyway, I look forward to seeing you next week here on Handmade House TV. Bye now. Oh wait, 5 more members of the Handmade House Guild. They are Ian Dugan, Brad Houts, Donald and Nicole Holcomb, Tom and Jana Howell, and Charles Kreutzer. Guys, thank you so much for joining the Guild, and if you're not a member of the Guild, please consider joining us. Just come on over to handmadehouses.com and check us out over there. There's a lot of great free information. If you haven't seen it, the whole site has been redeveloped. There's over 1,000 posts with tips on it. There's more videos over there. There's a ton of information about the academies, where I walk you step by step through the process of doing great stonework and of building your own log cabinets. And as always, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for following me here on Handmade House TV, for subscribing to this channel, and for your wonderful comments. I really appreciate it. Great. It's wonderful sharing with you several decades of what I have learned in the process of creating handmade houses. So until next week, you guys take care. We'll see you then. Bye now.